So let's turn from sunny, family-friendly to as adult as it gets. Grand Theft Auto 3. If you put a gun to my head, as fitting for the theme,
I get some money.
As Cloud would.
and ask me for top 5 games ever, I think GTA 3 is on that list for me.
Yeah.
GTA 3 was transformative. Released October 22nd, 2001. It was actually delayed slightly. It was 9/11 happened.
Oh, that's right.
Which not only caused they actually made a couple of edits to the game. There was a mission that was supposed to be in it that involved a small plane that was going to hit a building that was removed from the game. And there were also just sort of logistical challenges with Rockstar being based in New York and that having happened. But it did release on October 22nd of 2001, sold over 17 million copies. Of course, a PlayStation 2 exclusive at its launch was later ported to the Xbox.
I mean,
and PC.
As its name, GTA 3, there was a GTA 1 and 2, but 3 is really the start of what we consider
The modern
GTA.
era, sure.
3D open world started the open world genre. Its influence is still being felt to this day. It's almost impossible to overstate how important that game is.
Yeah, the original 2, as you mentioned, they were top-down 2D games.
Yeah.
So it just this brought you down into this sandbox world.
So, it changed. What's interesting, though, is your main character was a non-person, right? Like a non-speaking role. And then they would immediately change that up for Vice City. And really, the storytelling wasn't there in 3 yet. That wouldn't come until Vice City and San Andreas. But the gameplay was there. We're still feeling it.
He had a name, Claude, but it was never given in that game. It was sort of retconned later.
I like how he's got a cameo in San Andreas.
Yes.
Oh, that's right, yeah. I remember, I wasn't really excited for it when it came out. I don't know. I just
nobody was,
everyone
right?
off guard.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden it came up, and I remember getting it that Christmas and being like, this is insane. How is this possible? How is it possible that a game can do this?
You could almost literally do anything in that game. There was a full simulation ecosystem with, the wanted level, and the police would come if you blew up a car. A fire truck would come, and you could take that and then go off and do fire truck missions.
Well, I remember people being like, you can take any car, you can get in any car you want and drive. I'm like, no, you can't. And then I play I'm like, you can literally get in any car you want. It is insane. And like we've been saying, this is the game, its DNA exists in literally every open world game that comes out now, which is seemingly every other game.
Yeah.
Pretty crazy.
I mean, what's interesting is if you go back and look at GTA 3 now, the world is tiny. It's these tiny islands, and you can drive from one end to the other in a couple minutes. But at the time, in 2001, it just felt so expansive and huge and incredible. But it's really not. It's interesting.
A design decision they evolved out of, but at the time totally worked, was each of the 3 main areas unlocked as you went. You started just in that sort of industrial area, and then unlocked the downtown, and then unlocked the hilly suburbs, and they all just looked and felt very different. And there were, of course, different missions in each one.
My experience with GTA, and I'm sure I was in high school when that game came out, so I've actually to this day never played the GTA 5 campaign. It was just a game that would be on at parties.
GTA 3.
Excuse me, GTA 3. I never played GTA 3 missions. It would just be on when I was at friends' houses at parties.
Right.
People would pick up a controller and see how much havoc they could cause, and then just pass it around. And that was my entire experience with that game.
And that became really the joy of those games, and I think that's something that's translated throughout the years. If you aren't having fun just being in that world and being ridiculous, and
It was the ultimate just mess around game.
Yeah.
We were talking about killer apps earlier with Halo, which is, of course, a launch title, and there haven't been launch killer apps really since, other than Wii Sports. But for me, GTA 3 was the game that sold me a PS2. I had a GameCube first, then an original Xbox, and my best friend Robert had brought over his PS2 with GTA 3, and it completely changed. I've never seen anything like that.
You
I've
gotta
been
get a
playing video
PS2,
games my whole
that's
life,
it,
and I bought a PS2 just for that game, and it was incredible.
Yeah, it's interesting, 2001 being the second year of the PS2 and how it had, I think we're talking about 3 PS2 games that fall that were massive, whereas the GameCube and the Xbox were just launching, and Grand Theft Auto 3 is arguably the biggest of those 3.
Yeah, so you want to talk about, so you could do missions any way you wanted. If you had to take someone out, you could set up on a building with a sniper rifle, you could run them off the road, you could find a rocket launcher, you could do anything. There were stunt jumps hidden around. There were we mentioned the fire missions. You could get in a police car and go do vigilante missions and do stuff in the police car. You could. There was the Dodo plane. That was like sort of the big Easter egg vehicle. This like plane with these little stubby wings that you could kind of get to fly for a little while.
Yeah.
In fact, people would try to launch it from the first island to the second island.
Yeah, yeah.
And then does any fellow hardcore GTA 3 people remember the unicorn that was the Mr. Whoopi ice cream truck?
No.
It was like super rare. You could almost never find it. I remember I eventually found one in the residential area and had to just, like, I gotta get this in my garage right now. Because that was the way you held onto your cars.
Right.
Oh,
You had to put them in your
yeah.
garage, otherwise they'd eventually disappear and cash out of memory.
So I don't remember the game's soundtrack. Did it have a licensed soundtrack? Like, obviously not to the level of Vice City. That
right.
was, yeah.
But
The
yeah,
radio
it
stations.
absolutely had plenty of stuff, and you're right, the radio stations that was another revelation of
Yeah,
that game
you get in
too.
the car, you could just flick between stations.
Yeah, Laszlo,
Yeah.
Yep.
the talk radio station.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it was fantastic. I almost would not want to play, because you'd miss jokes. Like, I'd realize I caught the tail end of a joke, and Laszlo was so hilarious that I would want to just park and listen to
I
the
did
radio.
the same thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, just phenomenal. The other thing that GTA 3 did was cause a massive amount of controversy, a ridiculous amount of controversy. I hesitate to even say the name Jack Thompson because, like Beetlejuice, it's
I was about to say,
two more times and
come
he'll
out of
just
the mirror,
he's done.
take
He's
away
going
everything
to
we
be here.
love.
But lightning rod for
Yeah.
politicians and people that wanted to blame video games for society's ills.
Yeah, I mean, deserved or undeserved. I mean, there's no denying that it's straight. Like, you're a person that can go around and kill cops. Like, there's no sugarcoating that. There's no getting around that.
Right.
But the flip side is this is a game that's rated M, and there are games that are for all ages, and there are games that are only intended for adults to enjoy, just like movies. And, that's the bottom line.
Yeah, remember when there have been various politicians over the years that seem to they'll sort of latch on to video games for a little while and then move on to something else. Hillary Clinton had a video game
back in the
fixation for a
Mortal
short
Kombat
time,
days, yeah.
and I believe it was her that the sort of big one that people would latch onto was the fact that you could regain your health by getting a prostitute to get into your car, and then you could injure her when after the act and get your money back.
GTA is a tough game to defend sometimes, for sure. But I mean, that's the nature of the sandbox, right? Like, you have to sort of have it be open-ended and let people discover their own fun. And if people go in that direction, you sort of kind of have to accommodate that to a certain degree. Otherwise, it takes away from sort of the open-ended nature of it.
A really terrifying sentence.
Yeah.
You got a darkness inside of you, Justin Davis.
That gives me some chills.
You got to switch spots.
And it's, obviously GTA has gone on to become, GTA 5 has sold 50 million copies now. And
copies.
it's the same core creative team. The Hauser brothers and Leslie Benzies have stayed together and are continuing to, which is like unheard of.
I'm going to make a prediction. There's
Do
going to be a GTA 6 someday.
Whoa.
Scoops.
You heard it here first.